So apparently the whole idea that more cuts can come from Xbox Studios is a legit one, and now there's a big rumor going around that Ninja Theory could in fact be in a very, very negative spot right now. This in fact is due because Hellblade 2 didn't exactly light the charts up. Now, I want to kind of preface this by saying we don't really know what the expectations were for Hellblade 2. Obviously, a game that was announced with the Xbox Series X way back in 2019 does carry some level of expectations, but at the same time, supposedly there was no game at that particular point, and there really wasn't much of a game until 2.5, 3 years ago when they really kind of got started on it. So again, maybe they'll be allowed to do other things. I've heard also that, their next game was greenlit or whatever. What does that exactly mean? That's the type of thing that I think none of us really knows. Like, just because something is greenlit doesn't mean that it necessarily will see completion or will see kind of light of day on the other side. Again, I highly doubt that Tango Gameworks wasn't working on anything, and that Arkane wasn't working on anything. And when you look at Hellblade 2, right, and this is why I always say that sales numbers, when you see things on sales charts, like people are going, wow, Sea of Thieves is really blowing up the sales charts on PlayStation. And I go, well, it's a really weak month. Let's talk a couple months from now and see where it's at. If it can continue to be in a place and fight competition off, then it's one thing. It's like people were pointing to Steam charts with Hellblade 2, and it was the number 4 best-selling thing on there. But during an incredibly weak particular time where there's not a lot of releases, and then you see the charts of people actually playing the game, and it's like 2,300 people. So that's not a lot of people playing the game. And I said that this would be one of those games where, the PC side wouldn't be able to save the console side, sort of like Starfield. Now, Starfield was incredibly successful on PC. It made a lot of sense. I just don't think there's a lot there for, a 6-7 hour single player game on PC for $50. So obviously the past couple of years have been pretty terrible for the industry, with studios both big and small getting decimated by wave after wave of layoffs. We had the pandemic where studios were really kind of forced to work from home, and we're still paying the price for that, by the way. The most recent wave of Xbox layoffs happened with studios closures that affected Hi-Fi Rush, Tango Gameworks. Of course, we know they had some others as well. There's a lot of concern for Xbox's remaining studios, especially Ninja Theory, who released a new Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. The fear is so acute on social media that Xbox fans are urging people to buy the game to make sure that the studio made enough profit to justify its continued existence. If it makes enough money, the logic goes, Xbox won't have a reason to shut it down. Ninja Theory's next game has reportedly been greenlit, however. Just before the launch of Hellblade 2, it's said that Ninja Theory's next game has already been greenlit, and the studio has at least 2 games in the works, and that there are no plans to close the studio anytime soon. Now, while that should be comforting news, Ninja Theory is prolific, and the first Hellblade was critically lauded for its portrayal of mental illness. The sequel has been around the same in terms of review scores and things like that. But again, here's the question that I would raise, right? You look at it and you go, okay, well, this Ninja Theory, this Hellblade 2 looks more like a lateral move than a forward move in the Hellblade franchise. They took what looks like an extended time to build this game. They moved into new offices, have 70 to 100 people working there now instead of the typical 20, 25 that they had previously. So, we'll see what happens. They do have a good reputation, and they are in the UK, which makes it a little bit harder to kind of close down shop. But anyway, it's not going to necessarily keep Ninja Theory safe. Tango Gameworks shouldn't have been on the chopping block either. One could argue that Arkane Austin's poor showing with Redfall maybe justified its closure, but I actually disagree with that because, again, they could have went back to work on something that would have been award-winning. They could have went and did another Prey game. They could have went and did pretty much anything. And apparently they were very interested in doing another Infamous game. So, again, we'll see what happens. It was pretty egregious, in my opinion, that Microsoft closed those down. Again, Hi-Fi Rush was a critical darling, a stunning original Xbox game so beloved that after Tango Gameworks' closure, it was reverse reviewed bombed and became Xbox's highest reviewed game on Steam. Tango did nothing work. There's nothing to point out and say, hey, this is why it was closed. It won several awards. It really kind of revitalized what Microsoft was trying to do. It made people kind of take a look at what Microsoft was doing. They're like, hey, Microsoft might not be so bad after all. This might be a different Microsoft. But anyway, Tango Gameworks and Austin were both pitching sequels and properties that no doubt really would have drawn players in. Tango was in the process of pitching Hi-Fi Rush sequel, and Arkane wanted to develop a new Dishonored game. These games would have absolutely have piqued the interest of players, no less because Arkane would be returning to what it actually did best, instead of trying to make a live service co-op shooter to placate its corporate overlords, which Bethesda was trying to get them to do in the first place. Do we really think that good reviews will be enough to keep Ninja Theory safe? Will games in the pipeline be enough to stop the studio from closing? At this point, it's foolish to believe that that would be the case. There's no sequel or positive review score that can save Hellblade 2. Look, Hellblade 2 could have scored a 90, and it still would have been, in my opinion, a studio that Microsoft could close down at some point. The reason being is they don't seem to really care about these game scores, hence why they had no problems closing down Tango Gameworks. Tango Gameworks surprisingly gave me my most enjoyable gaming experiences last year. Loved Ghostwire Tokyo, loved Hi-Fi Rush. I thought those were fantastic games. It's unfortunate that so much is going kind of wrong in the industry right now. I've said this for a long time. Microsoft was really in a weird spot because they could have, the money that they've paid, listen, Bobby Kotick, to get rid of him, hundreds of millions of dollars they paid that man, right? It's utterly ridiculous to think that they had to first port their games to PlayStation and Switch in some cases, and B, that they couldn't save these studios for whatever reason. It's it really boggles my mind. And, at the end of the day, I hope that Microsoft kind of, I don't want to say get what's coming to them, but, they're going to have to change the way that they do things, because as far as I can see, it's the same old Microsoft. No matter who's in charge, it seems like they're early to, cut the cord with what's going on, and, that's just the way that they're going to do it, and I feel like that's really unfortunate. And, at the end of the day, I think people kind of agree with what I'm saying here. Microsoft can't be trusted when it comes to, I think, any company, to be quite honest with you. I would hesitate to put them in charge of anyone at this particular point. But what do you guys think about this? Do you guys think they'll close down Ninja Theory? Do you think that maybe another studio's in danger? Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe, let me know. I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.